Hello and welcome to Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. This week, we're tracking major developments from how the Sugar Regulatory Administration is tackling insect infestation in Negros sugar farms to the growing health risks of hypertension and heat-related illnesses during Tag-init in the Philippines, and how smart monitoring and community action is playing a major role in Quezon City's improved air quality. Now, let's begin first with the situation in Negros. To give us more insight on the infestation, the current response, and future actions, here's my interview with the SRA Administrator, Mr. Pablo Luis Azcona.
The RSSI is actually an insect. No, we call it the red stripe soft scale insect, and it's a leaf sap sucking insect. So it sticks itself to the bottom of the leaf, and then it sucks the sap out of the leaf, which destroys the leaf. The other problem that we have with it is yung excrement po nito is very susceptible to fungus, so it leads to fungi damage pa rin to the sugarcane. So we estimate that it's about, if infected, it affects the production of that sugarcane by about 50% po.
I was reading through reports po about the RSSI infestation right now in Negros Occidental. If I'm not mistaken po, the SRA has reached out to Governor Eugenio Jose Lacson and the mayors of 11 towns in the area po. What help does the SRA need when it comes to the support from the local government units in trying to address this problem po?
Okay, yeah, the biggest support that we need from the LGUs is information dissemination. That's the biggest. And second po is some sort of a quarantine procedure to limit the transfer of sugarcane from one town to the other. The situation right now in Negros is we still have a lot of farmers who are harvesting. So when they harvest, they bring sugarcane from the south of Negros all the way up to the north, and some farmers bring sugarcane from the north going to the south. So the insect spreads with it. What we're trying to do is contain it. RSSI is not new. We have observed this 2022 to 2023 in northern Luzon, and we were able to contain it. Now, surprisingly, what we heard is there were some sugarcane plants transported from Luzon to Negros and northern Negros, and this is where the spread started. So the LGUs can be a very big help trying to control it po.
Well, you mentioned it's a big surprise that galing pang Luzon or sugarcane based in Luzon, yung RSSI. Is there any real explanation so far? If I'm not mistaken, there has been a task force already created to address these problems. But then when it comes to yung source po nito, do we have any clear reason kung paano to nangyari?
Yeah, there's information, there's allegations that certain farmers or people wanted to transfer planting materials, basically, or different varieties from Luzon to Negros. And probably this caused the transfer because we've had it contained in northern Luzon for almost 2 years, 2 to 3 years already. And however, I think now is not the time to start pointing fingers. It's here. We just have to work double time to contain it.
Sir, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong with the numbers I'll be reading out here, because as of Friday, there have been 87 hectares of sugarcane farms in 7 areas in the north, 3 areas in the south, and 1 in central Negros. Do we have an update on that number? Is there more? Are there more hectares now infested with the RSSI, or are we reducing that number already?
Okay, the numbers you're reading out is the last update that I got. This was Friday. Today, Monday, we are doing experiments with drone spraying. We're testing out We're testing out spray drones in an area way south of Negros, where there is still no RSSI infestation. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to determine if, okay, the main aspect of RSSI kasi it lives under the leaf. So if you spray the plant, you usually spray the top and you don't hit the bottom. So what we're trying to do now, we're experimenting using drones. We really hope that the prop wash, the prop wash generated by the drone will disturb the leaves to a certain amount where we will hit the bottom of the leaves. So this morning, the SRA personnel are testing out the drones and seeing if we could hit the bottom of the leaves. If we do this, drone spraying will greatly help control and elimination of RSSI in the sense that drones can spray. We have people in Negros who have the capacity to spray 50 hectares per day. So as to the update of the area, sad to say, I think it's over 87 hectares already. I also have the same numbers as you.
Okay.
But it's continually spreading. It spreads very slowly. But the thing is, we have farmers who buy planting materials from the north. Usually, if it's harvest and planting season in Negros, we have trucks running south to north and trucks running north to south. So it's a bit difficult to control.
If I'm not mistaken po, the pesticides has been requested from the Department of Agriculture in that particular region, and they have been deploying several pesticide tankers as well. For those who are concerned about pesticides in general, is this the only real way to addressing RSSI problem when it comes to the scale that we are seeing at the moment, especially?
Yes, I think the fastest and most efficient way to control is through pesticides, no? Especially if it's a quick response. And then SRA has been studying and will continue to study natural control. We've done that with other pests in the industry wherein we identify a predator and then we introduce it. But the RSSI actually is not a local insect. We discovered this in northern Luzon. We could not even identify it. We had to send it abroad, and then it was, I think, the South Koreans who identified it. And the biggest infestation in the world of RSSI is in Egypt. So it's a bit far away from us, but we already have it here. So in the moment, the DA and the SRA are giving out and as well as suggesting pesticides to farmers to try and contain infestation. And hopefully we will not affect the production too much.
After the break, we'll talk about hypertension and the health risks brought about by the intense heat this Tag-init. Weather HQ will be right back. Hello there, this is Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. As temperatures continue to climb across the country, cases of hypertension or high blood pressure are becoming a pressing health issue. Now, to help us understand the dangers and how to stay safe, I spoke with adult cardiologist and echocardiographer, Dr. Glenn Sayat.
Okay, yung hypertension po, it is usually triggered by both genetics and of course our lifestyle, no? Sa ating mga Filipinos, no, it is primarily driven by our lifestyle, no, yung diet na mataas sa asin, no, pagkain ng mga processed meats, no, saka fast food, tapos yung sedentary lifestyles, no, kung kulang sa physical activity, tapos yung iba meron pang mga bisyo, no, smoking, excessive alcohol intake, no. So kung merong sa lahi, no, ng nasa genetics yung hypertension, of course mas mas lumalabas talaga siya pag yung lifestyle mo talagang hindi maganda.
Doc, lately, yung mga heat index po natin, grabe talaga. Extreme heat situations in various provinces and various cities na talagang marami nagsasabi that really affect yung bodies natin from a physiological aspect. For those under for those who are hypertensive or mga classified na hypertensive, normally, what does this problem exacerbate sa mga symptoms nila?
Actually, yung high heat temperature, initially, magda-dilate yung mga blood vessels natin. So, bababa yung blood pressure. Pero kung prolonged na yung heat exposure, dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, doon na nagkakameron ng paradoxical spike in the blood pressure. No? So, bumibilis yung heart rate, tapos na-strain yung cardiovascular system. So, for hypertensive patients, no, doon nagkakameron ng mga heat exhaustion, hypertensive crisis. So, yung body's response to heat, no, yun yung nag-a-amplify ng cardiovascular risk.
Unfortunately, as a fact of life na a lot of Filipinos work outdoors or commute having to go outdoors in the sweltering hot conditions. Nakita natin kahit dito sa Metro Manila na yung transport situation from one place to another, especially when you're chasing certain deadlines or certain times to get to work, talagang relatively very stressful when it comes to that. Normally, ano yung advice mo to people who cannot avoid yung mga high temperature situations, high stress environments when it comes to commuting to work or actually working outdoors?
Yes, Sir Paolo, totoo yan, no? Yung mga outdoor workers, saka yung mga commuters, no? Long distance commuters, no? They are exposed to continuous heat exposure. So, mas increase yung fluid loss nila, no? So, yung ano dyan, dapat nilang gawin, magkameron sila ng proper hydration, tsaka magpahinga, magpalamig kung talagang sobrang mainit pa, no? So, yun, dapat lagi talagang may baon na water, no? Magdala sila palagi. At saka kung talagang mainit na mainit, yun, magpa-aircon muna sila. Magpahinga sila dun sa malamig na lugar muna.
O, pasok kayo sa mall, diba? Para magpalamig muna. Pero,
Yes,
pero apart from that, you've mentioned it over and over again, yung hydration, yung kailangan magdala ng tubig. I feel that in terms of hydration, some people would suggest na, may tamang paraan para mag-hydrate. Hindi pwede mga sweet drinks or sugary drinks or things of that nature. Pero when you recommend people to stay hydrated, what is the best way to hydrate yourself, especially during extreme heat scenarios?
Siyempre yung hydration po, crucial, no? Because yung dehydration, no, it can cause our blood to be more concentrated, no? Kaya mas tumataas yung BP, mas na-strain yung heart natin, no? So yung mga hypertensive patients, no, should aim for at least 8 to 10 glasses of water, no? Or even more kung talagang mainit, no? Pero kung may mga conditions like merong heart disease or kidney problems, no? So doon namin ini-individualize kung ano yung bagay sa pasyente, no? So ano naman sa mga drinks, no? Siyempre avoid yung mga sugary drinks, yung mga soft drinks, yung may mga excessive na caffeine, no? Yung mga coffee, ganyan, kasi mas nag-worsen pa yung dehydration. So siyempre pag nagpapawis tayo, yung mga electrolytes natin, so, nawawala din yan during these events, no? So, mas maganda yung may mga konting electrolytes yung mga drinks na
iklaro lang natin, Doc, kasi minsan yung mga ibang tao, kapag mainit, mag-ice coffee muna tayo. Not the best way to stay hydrated, just to be clear.
Yes po. Yes po, kasi diuretic yung kape po eh. So, mas lalo kang iihi.
Okay. Pero Doc, yung we mentioned also yung high temperatures also affecting, well, we also say that it affects yung hydration natin, like what we need to do, we have to be better at hydrating. Pero for those already under medication, especially sa mga hypertensive patients, do doctors have to consider yung high heat situations right now when it comes to treating patients with hypertension, considering there's so many more environmental factors that feels like we have to take account for?
Yes po, yung mga hypertensive patients, lalo na they are on medication, so mas maganda na ma-check pa rin sila, no? Kasi minsan ina-adjust din namin yung mga medications kasi yung iba kasi nakadiuretic eh. So may mga pampaihi sila yung mga heart failure patients. So mas maganda pa rin na ma-check natin sila, no, sa clinic para ma-advisean kung ano yung yung maganda para sa kanila.
Doc, as a medical professional, when we take a look at yung awareness of hypertension, especially when it comes in relation to yung extreme heat scenarios that we have been facing recently. Ayun, hydrating right now, galing.
Ay, apa.
But Doc, what do you feel is the gap of knowledge when it comes to hypertension for the common Filipino? And of course, when it comes to in relation to yung mga environmental factors that can contribute to hypertension?
Yung awareness natin medyo limited pa rin, no. So yung may mga Filipinos, no, na hindi pa din masyadong nare-realize na meron silang hypertension, no, meron na silang minsan may mga end organ damage na yung iba, hindi lang talaga nakakapagpa-check, no. So yeah, I think we need stronger campaigns, no, siguro mga barangay health workers, social media, to emphasize, no, yung yan lalo na't mainit, no, yung hydration, yung medication adherence, saka na makapagpa-check yung mga kapwa natin Filipino. So it's not just about heat din kasi, no, it's about the heat effects, no, on those people with chronic conditions.
Coming up after a break, we'll explore Quezon City's air quality index results, the importance of its extensive air monitoring network, and easy ways we can all help keep our air clean. Stay tuned to Weather HQ. Hello there and welcome back to Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Quezon City is at the forefront of clean air efforts, featuring the largest air monitoring network in the country. Now, to help us understand what this means for our health and how we can all contribute to better air quality, here's my interview with Ms. Andrea Villaroman, head of the city's Climate and Environmental Sustainability Department.
Yung ating AQI, we're very blessed here in Quezon City na we stay within the limits of the DNR standards. So, which means na at around 20 to 25, yun po yung ating range. Pero for the past 4 years that we are recording this, hindi tayo lumalagpas ng 21 micrograms per cubic meter. So, which means na talagang dito sa Quezon City, malinis pa ang hangin.
Ma'am, alam ko medyo technical po ito yung AQI, but can you explain to siguro in layman's terms, ano po yung mini-measure ng AQI when we talk about the particles in the air? What does that really mean? And of course, what constitutes as danger levels in terms of yung air quality po?
Yes, very technical talaga itong pag-measure natin ng air quality index, no? In fact, wala tayong gantong monitoring equipment nung nag-start po ang administration ni Mayor Joy, but we felt the need to measure our air quality. Ang ating tinitignan is yung particulate matter na 2.5. These are very small particles na mini-measure ng ating air quality sensors para makita kung meron tayong pagtaas ng readings, and therefore kapag meron ganong pagtaas, ina-analyze natin kung ano yung dapat na maging interventions based on the possible sources of air pollution. So daily po, we are guided by our equipment. Ito po yung Clarity dashboard na tinitingnan namin every day. So we have a dashboard na nandun lahat ang data pagdating sa aming 40 non-reference sensors. So from that, ito po ay kinakalculate namin. At kaya kami naglalabas ng map. I'm seeing na dun sa video niyo, no, na pinapalabas, meron kaming AQI map. Very simple siya actually dahil gusto natin maintindihan ng tao kung anong ibig sabihin niya. So say for example, kapag nakalagay siya sa green, yung good, ibig sabihin nun, wala tayong pag-aalala na dapat gawin dahil napakalinis ng hangin. Meron din siya na requirements. Say for example, pag medyo mataas ang reading, ang instruction dyan is dapat mag-mask na tayo. So we make it a point na maintindihan siya ng public by doing it through social media also.
Ma'am, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, there are 40 air quality monitoring sensors in place. Nakita natin kanina yung mapa that shows its locations and of course yung results niya. Just how important is this particular data, especially when you can find data on specific areas to help with decision-making policies, environmental policies, in a very localized manner po?
Well, it's really very important kasi targeted. Hindi natin nakikita yung effect ng air pollution. Hindi rin natin minsan napapansin, mataas pala yung levels. Even for kami na mga technical staff na kailangan talaga mag-base kami dun sa aming data sa air quality sensors. So dahil meron kaming data kung saan posibleng matataas ang pollution hotspots, yung interventions din namin very targeted. Say for example, nakikita ninyo sa aming mga air quality index maps, lagi pong mataas ang Cubao-Arayat area. So kung titignan natin ang Cubao-Arayat, ano ba yung foot traffic, ano ba yung activities na meron doon? So that way, meron kaming kaukulang interventions sa ginawa. Say for example, nakikita namin na at this certain time of the day mataas siya. Ano kayang cost niya? So pupuntahan niya ng areas ng ating mga barangay enforcers, pupuntahan niya ng mga traffic personnel ng city government at ire-report po sa amin yan. Ang sasabihin po nila, meron po kasing idling ng sasakyan kaya po merong pagtaas ng reading dahil public market po yung lugar na yon. So kami, very important talaga yung data kasi nakikita namin kung paano namin i-address yung certain situations and pollution hotspots na nakikita namin.
Ms. Andrea, it feels very extensive yung network po ninyo with the 40 monitoring stations and 40 monitoring systems, and it feels already in terms of yung quality ng network po ninyo, it's more expansive than some other cities, some other LGUs. But are there already plans to make the data even more extensive? Any plans to expand yung data gathering po ninyo in terms of air quality?
Yes, we're still expanding, no? Although we have met the required number of sensors in Quezon City, which is 40, nakita namin yung kahalagahan ng paglalagay ng dagdag na sensors sa mga schools ng Quezon City. We have about 156 or more pa na schools. These are just public schools. Pero tingin namin dahil very vulnerable ang mga bata, kailangan namin maglagay mismo sa mga sites ng school natin para sa pag-assess kung sila ba ay pumapasa dun sa exposure level na nililimit sa atin ng DNR. So from 40 sensors, we're planning to expand more. There's going to be 25, I think, 25 more this year. And we're adding a wind module, yung hangin, malalaman natin kung saan nanggagaling yung flow ng hangin. Kasi while this is very technical, no, important sa amin na yung flow ng hangin nalalaman dahil kapag very stagnant, ibig sabihin wala masyadong movement sa hangin, nagiging area yon kapag nagkakaroon ng opportunity na magstay lang yung pollution level sa isang lugar. So high risk po sa amin yun, no? Kami mismo, tinitingnan namin how to address that. Kaya yung mga ganong additional wind modules ay very important to us. Meron din tayong opportunity na makita kasi hindi naman lahat ng activities within Quezon City lang. Say for example, nagkaroon ng sunog sa tabi naming mga cities. So nalalaman namin kapag ang wind direction papunta sa Quezon City, alam namin kung saan siya nanggagaling, and therefore nakikipag-coordinate din naman kami sa ibang mga counterparts ko sa iba't ibang mga cities dito sa Metro Manila.
Ma'am, Quezon City has been one of the LGUs that have really tackled the environment aggressively under Mayor Belmonte. And when you take a look at the air quality levels and, of course, working alongside other organizations such as the CCESD, how is the QCHD working alongside them to monitor yung impact of yung air quality, either poor or good, for the residents of Quezon City po?
Yeah, we actually have an air quality technical working group here in Quezon City, and co-chair ko po as head of the climate change department, ang head din ng ating city health department. Nagkaroon kami ng health impact assessment actually, no, tinignan namin kung ano yung mga cases ng diseases na tingin namin related sa air pollution exposure. So very crucial sa amin na makipag-coordinate sa iba't ibang departments. Aside from city health department, actually, we also coordinate with our traffic enforcers kasi napakahalaga nung information on the ground. Sila yung nakakaalam kapag may sunog, sila yung nakakaalam kapag heavy yung traffic, which is mostly yan ang source ng ating pollution, no, yung vehicular traffic. Sila ang nagre-report sa amin. So it's actually an interdepartment collaboration. Hindi namin sinusolo lang yung work kasi marami pong dapat na stakeholders na makibahagi sa amin. In fact, we also have a group, we call them the Clean Air Advocates. So these are private citizens na anytime na magkaroon sila ng incidences sa area nila, they get to report this to our Facebook page. Ini-inform kami kapag may open burning, say for example, meron silang kapitbahay na nagtatapon ng basura and then ito ay sinusunog, yun po inire-report din sa amin kasi napakahalaga na on the ground, alam namin yung situation para relate namin naman dun sa aming air quality index. And therefore, kapag alam na namin yung lahat ng datos, alam na rin namin kung paano siya a-actionan at bibigyan ng intervention.
Ms. Andrea, I remember seeing yung mapa po ninyo for the first time and thinking na it is surprisingly good air quality for a city dito sa Metro Manila. When you take a look at siguro the surprise reactions of some people when it comes to yung air quality ng Quezon City, we have to talk about the policies and the programs that QC has implemented to improve yung air quality. Alam ko mahaba po yung listahan when it comes to yung mga programa po ninyo, mga polisiya po ninyo. But what do you feel is one of the more impactful programs and policies that has led to a relatively good air quality sa Quezon City po?
Well, actually, we are very blessed dahil very green pa ang Quezon City. Napakarami pa ating puno na siyang nag-absorb din ng ating mga carbon dioxide emissions, no? Pero apart from that, having a lot of green spaces, we are really very active in promoting active mobility. So kung napansin nyo, nagsimula yan during the pandemic na naglagay kami ng mga bike lanes dito sa major thoroughfares and even the inner roads, no? Mahalaga yon na hindi tayo masyado nagre-rely doon sa sasakyan kapag kaya naman nating mag-promote ng ibang mga active means of transport. Say for example, kapag malapit lang naman ang pupuntahan mo, hindi ka na kailangan sumakay ng sasakyan, kundi pwede ka na maglakad or pwede kang mag-bike. So very active tayo dyan. In fact, we have already 201 kilometers of bike lanes at hindi tayo titigil doon. Meron tayong target na dapat by 2028, meron tayong 350 kilometers of bike lanes in Quezon City. We are also very active in terms of engaging the public. Kaya meron kaming air quality monitoring group. Ito yung technical working group namin na nag-engage din sa barangays. Pinapaalam natin kung ano yung mga activities na nakakasama doon sa environment, no? Doon sa air quality ng Quezon City. Say for example, itong mga clean air advocates natin, sila mismo yung nagsisilbi naming echo sa mga communities nila dahil sila yung nagtuturo. So it's really engaging everybody, no? Aside from bike lanes tayo, very aggressive tayo sa pag-transition natin ng electric vehicles. Alam nyo ba yung libreng sakay dito sa Quezon City, no? Meron kaming 8 routes na libreng sumakay ang ating mga Q-citizens para sa kanilang pagtatrabaho. Itong 8 buses na to ay ginawa na nating electric, no? Sarili nating pondo, sarili nating initiative, tinatransition natin itong more than 100 buses na libre para sa ating mga commuters at hopefully po, yun po ang masundan din ng ating mga ibang mga neighboring cities. And kami mismo internally, dahil we believe in moral ascendancy, kami mismo dito sa city government, nag-procure na kami ng hybrid vehicles para sa operations namin. So it's really a collaborative effort on everyone, no? Hindi lang sa city government, but even the public. Very important sa amin na engage po sila sa aming programa.
And that's a wrap for this week's Weather HQ. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Join us again next week right here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Have a great weekend.